Welcome to Dodgers Daily. Casey Porter here. So glad you decided to tune in. Hey, fans, as we say each and every day, today is a great day to be a Dodger. Yesterday was just a little bit extra special. Austin's going to go all into the Clayton Kershaw retirement announcement tonight on a live show. I'm not going to get a lot into the Clayton Kershaw thing today just because I wanted to save that for a live show. I'm busy. I'm working tonight on my O-State daily site. Oklahoma State plays football this evening, and so I'm going to be tied up. I will not be able to join that live show. Please join Austin this evening in celebrating Clayton Kershaw, kind of as a pregame to tonight's game with the Giants. But yesterday, what a special day. You got to play your arch rival, the Giants. You got to beat them. You got to honor Clayton Kershaw. And then also, you had some great action down the farm. Roki Sasaki looked really good. Brock Stewart didn't look quite as good. Kyle Hurt looked very good. And we're going to get into all that. So it was just a extra special, great day to be a Dodger yesterday. So like I said, not going to get a whole lot into the Clayton Kershaw deal, but just kind of let me give you my perspective of Clayton, which is going to be a little bit different as far as from a lot of the other people because – you know, obviously the major league career he's had, Hall of Fame, it's been amazing. Everybody's going to celebrate that. The part of it that I wanted to bring into it that may be a little bit unique, that maybe other outlets may not have a kind of an angle on, the angle that I've had, the interactions I've had with Clayton Kershaw. You know, this is a guy that's from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and he's a guy that is, you know, which is about 3 hours from where I live, 3.5, depending on what part of Dallas or what part of you're going to or what part of Oklahoma City you're leaving from. So he's a guy that at every single turn, you know, the Dodgers became, Oklahoma City and Tulsa became a Dodgers affiliate back in 2015. Oklahoma City had been, well, they were the Phillies in the early 80s, and then they were actually the Astros before that, then the Phillies, and then they were the Rangers for almost my entire childhood after that. And then Nolan Ryan decided to move the Rangers to their facility in Round Rock, Texas, where they're at now. And so then the Rangers moved to Texas. We lost our affiliation with the Rangers. And then for a while, like Tulsa was the Rockies and Oklahoma City was the Astros. So the Tulsa and Oklahoma City were two different affiliates. And then in 2015, the Dodgers threw Oklahoma City and Tulsa kind of a life raft in the sense that it was like, yeah, Oklahoma City was always going to have a pro team. Probably it was always going to be AAA. Probably it was always going to be in the Pacific Coast League. But, man, when Oklahoma City and Tulsa got the Dodgers in 2015, that was a total game changer. I mean, a game changer. We were the Astros before that. The crowds weren't very good, that kind of thing. And so that was awesome. So I give all of that context. You know, I'm a history teacher, and whenever you go over historical events, you've always got to go back about 50 to 100 years in the past to set up the context as to why something happened instead of just explaining that it did happen. So I'm giving all this context to say the Dodgers come to town in 2015. It's absolutely awesome. Buck Britton and that whole group that first year was very good. Oklahoma City fans were very excited. And then lo and behold, here comes Clayton Kershaw in 2017 to make a rehab appearance in Oklahoma City. How significant was that? I can remember being there like it was yesterday, and I can tell you the crowds were lined up all the way to the Joe Carter lot. It was packed to the brim. Now, when the Bricktown Ballpark was built in 1997, opened in 1998, they had the right field pavilions, the upper deck, and it could seat over 14,000. You could have put 40,000 people in the stands that night. I'm not kidding, to watch Clay. You could have put at least 30,000 in the stands to watch him that night. That's how big of a deal he was, not just to Dodgers fans in this area, but to Oklahoma fans who are familiar with Clayton Kershaw because he's from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we knew about him, right? So then he does it again in 2019. It is filled to the rafters. It's an unbelievable experience. Oklahoma City fans are buzzing about it. And I can tell you this, I was umpiring a game the other day in Dover, Oklahoma, and 3 different people that I wasn't even part of the conversation, mentioned how they remember getting to watch Clayton Kershaw pitch a rehab outing in 2019 at the Bricktown Ballpark. 3 different people in a Class B school in Oklahoma, Dover, Oklahoma, was talking about that rehab outing in 2019 from Clayton Kershaw. So he's had several different outings and rehabs in Oklahoma City because he grew up 3 hours away from here, so his family gets to come and all of that. Kind of like Max Muncy, the same situation. And it has meant a ton, I mean a ton, to AAA Oklahoma City. So, and I got to interview him earlier this year. He's always been willing to come to Oklahoma City. Matter of fact, even one time this year, he actually pitched for Tulsa when Oklahoma City was on the road. And Tulsa, I believe they may have been in Springfield. They might have been in Tulsa. I can't remember exactly where they were playing. I don't think they're at home. They might have been. He actually pitched for Tulsa because it's closer by. This has been a guy that's been gracious way beyond just his major league career. He's been gracious to AAA Oklahoma City. He's been gracious to AA Tulsa. He's been gracious to Oklahoma fans. He's been gracious to me. I got to interview him. He let me ask him 2 questions and answered them like I was one of any other reporter that was just as important as the next guy. So the contributions that Clayton Kershaw has made to the Dodger fandom goes so much further than just what he's done on the field as far as being a Hall of Famer. He has reached behind the curtains and done things. That's kind of why I wanted to share this story, because this is probably one of 2,000 different stories that other people like me have that aren't, just directly related to the 3,000 strikeouts or his on-the-field Hall of Fame career. They're more linked to just the kind of person and some of the things that he did behind the scenes. So from that, Clayton Kershaw, you are an even better human being than you are a pitcher, which is almost impossible to say. You are a better ambassador for your hometown of Dallas-Fort Worth, for your family, for the Dodgers, and for the game of baseball than you ever were a player. And so for that and because of that, thank you so much for everything you've done. That's kind of my part of the world take on Clayton Kershaw. Again, please join Austin tonight and join him in the celebration of the Hall of Famer. This is a monumental moment, so join him tonight. So how about the game last night? The Padres lost, which means they lost 6-1 to the Mets, which means now the Dodgers have a 3-game lead in the NL West, which means you're not going to catch the Phillies. That's out of the way, which means you have a 3-game lead on home field advantage in a 3-game series. And we talked about the way that you could set the pitching up and be very, very, very dominant. Somebody's going to get left off, but I don't think it'll be very many of those starters. We'll have that conversation whenever I can get Austin in. We'll go over the numbers, and we'll crunch that a little bit more probably next week. But for today, going to celebrate a big win over the Gigantes, and just a great night last night for the Dodgers, especially considering the Padres loss. So the significance of that is the faster that you get to the magic number, the more likely it is that you can bring up a Roki Sasaki or a Kyle Hurt or an Andrew Heaney or a Brock Stewart, all 4 of which pitched last night for Oklahoma City. And you can see if there's another, Roki Sasaki threw 100 miles an hour last night. We'll get all into it. Kyle Hurt just zoomed right through his inning. Andrew Heaney was only 89 to 91, but he zoomed through 2 innings. Brock Stewart wasn't very good. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. But the faster you can get to a magic formula, the more likely it is that you might have at least a little bit of runway to try to incorporate 1, maybe 2 of those guys and play a little big picture, and then also not just play that type of big picture. Also, do your best job you possibly can to set up your pitching rotation for that 3-game series as you go straight into the wild card series this year. So it is huge that the Dodgers keep the gas to the pedal and you put the Padres away as early and as fast as you can, because then you can set up your pitching, and then you can do some things with maybe a Roki Sasaki or a Kyle Hurd or an Andrew Heaney or a Brock Stewart. It was not efficient. It was not pretty, but it was effective. And, hey, only the Giants, I say that. It seems like the Dodgers about a month ago had a game where they got 10 walks and only scored 1 run. So I say this as friendly competition, but only the Giants can take 10 walks and squander that into just one run, right? Yamamoto, again, not efficient. I mean, he was walking guys left and right. It's just a good thing that the Giants have absolutely no game plan whatsoever as an offensive identity for a team. I've said that basically since about the third game that we've watched them play the Dodgers this year, about 2 months ago. This is a team that went out and got a bunch of name brands, that just went and got the best players they could get with absolutely no game plan in mind as to, okay, what do we want the identity of this offense to be? What type of style of offense do we want to have? And, what kind of offense do we want to be? The Giants have no plan. They just have a bunch of guys that have pretty good name brand. And because of that, it just goes to show that even if you just can't just go assemble good names and good talent and guys like that. I mean, Willy Adames is going to possibly hit 30 home runs for the first time in I think close to 20 years for the Giants. So they have good players. They just don't have a plan. And when you don't have a plan, it just seems like you're just nothing, instead of scoring more runs than you should, you look at the box score and you go, man, how did we score 5 runs today? I mean, how did we do that? Well, it's because you had a plan that you stuck to, and that plan scored you 2 or 3 of those runs. As far as being able to execute a plan, it's the exact opposite. It just seems like with the Giants, you're always going, how do they not score more runs than that? How are they not scoring more? Well, it's because it's like you have 9 different individuals, nothing's working together, and the sum of all parts is not greater than the individual parts. The individual parts are greater than the sum. And so that's part of what makes the Dodgers great, is not only do they get the Ohtanis, not only do they get the Freddie Freemans, the Mookie Betts and all this, they also have a plan. Hey, we want to walk, we want to slug, and we just want to grind into the pitch count, and we want to make things tough. And then last night, and as of late, how about the 2 singles from Miguel Rojas and Freddie Freeman, and then the double by Shohei Ohtani? So what this offense has been doing lately, and this is what I have been preaching for 2 to 3 years now, okay? I don't want the home runs to go away. I want the Dodgers to hit 18 home runs a game and beat the other team 18-0, okay? That's what we all want. But that's not realistic. So in the realistic world, the Dodgers are talented enough. They have enough bat-to-ball guys to where they can slug like Shohei Ohtani did on that hanging cutter or slider or whatever it was, where he just about knocked the right center field wall over last night. That was just, wow. They're talented enough to do that, but then also talented enough to bang a 3-hopper up the middle like Freddie Freeman did, to go opposite field for a leadoff base hit like Miguel Rojas did. And when the Dodgers are gathering hits like Freeman and Rojas did, and then also slugging, that's matching with the starting pitching that has been elite all year, and with a bullpen that is very talented, that is only going to get made better when some of the starters can both start and then also move into the bullpen based on which starters you don't need. That's when you complete the circuit as a team. That's when you become a complete team, and that's when you start winning all the games that you probably shouldn't. Like last night, you walked 10 guys. So let me just say this to you. You're playing the Giants, who are playing for their lives. You issue 10 walks and you only score 2 runs. If I were just to say this time yesterday, the Dodgers were going to walk 10 Giants hitters and only score twice, what would you tell me? Any person in their right mind would say, well, hell, the Dodgers are not only going to get beat, they're going to get their asses kicked, right? But they didn't. You know why? Because they are playing team baseball, and they have, beyond the 10 walks, they have elite pitching. And then also the bullpen came through last night. Hey, Blake Trinan, I know he had you on pins and needles. Let me say this, though, from my experience in the game of baseball, And I can tell you I am not going to be wrong on this next comment. Now, it is subjective as far as, the extent to the way this happened and maybe the process of how it gets there, but I will not be wrong on this next statement. You never know when you're struggling, okay? Whether it be a hitter, a pitcher, whatever it may be. You never know when the moment is going to come that you're going to go, aha, I got it again. I got it. You never know when that's going to happen. I'm telling you, it could happen on deck where you pick up a bat and you're timing the pitcher and you swing and you go, oh, well, that's how I need to slot my elbow. Or, oh, that's how I need to lag my hands and not get my hands above my elbow. Oh, that's how I need to turn the barrel. Oh, that's how I need to go punt. You never know when that moment's going to come where your body tells you, that's it. Do that again. Muscle memory. Do that. You never know when that moment's going to come. So I say that to bring that into the Blake Treinen situation. Yeah, were the 2 walks to start out for Blake Treinen good? No. Were you on pins and needles? Were you like, oh, Blake, not again. Come on, brother. We love you, man, but we can't have this. Was that great? No. Were you on pins and needles? Yes. But the way that he got out of that, and it might not be, but it damn sure could be, that might be the moment where Blake Treinen walked off the mound going, that's it. Hey, I haven't been very good lately, but that's it. He had been, but too, also, he had been very good before his struggles as of late. So, I mean, it's not like it's been a total disaster for him. But having said that, who's to say that wasn't the moment? The way that I'm going to look at that as somebody who's been in the game is I'm going to look at that and go, that might be the momentum changer for Blake Treinen to get him back, as Mark always says, to get him back on the beam. That might have been the aha, the eureka moment, whatever you want to call it, for Blake Treinen, where he went, that's it, let's go. And if Blake Treinen hits that, that's it, let's go moment, this bullpen gets a hell of a lot better in a big, big hurry. Michael Kopech can't say the same thing. I have been consistent with this. I love the guy. He was just so gracious for his time. I hate talking like this. It makes me just sick to my stomach to make these comments. But again, you have to have the hard conversations. You have to make the tough decisions. I just don't see it. I've been saying that ever since he's been rehabbing in Oklahoma City. Last night's another one, a third of an inning, 2 walks, a wild pitch. Bad presentation beyond it all. We've been using that word. The Dodgers have been using that word, presentation. Beyond just the third of an inning and the 2 walks, just the presentation of it, it's like, damn, man. I mean, this is like halting all momentum. We're getting ready to just give a game to the Giants, right? And then also the Maytag Jack Dreyer. Hey, when you have Yoshinobu Yamamoto, yes, I know he walked 10 guys, but Yamamoto has been stupidly good for the Dodgers. We all know that. It's the Giants. It's the stretch run. And so to come in the middle of an inning and have to finish that for a guy like Yamamoto, I cannot even begin to explain how much pressure there is coming in going, damn, I can't screw this up. Yamamoto's got all. If I screw this up, Dodgers fans are going to crucify my ass. Now, I'm not saying that's what was going through Jack Dreyer's mind. I'm saying that's what was going to happen. So for Jack Dreyer to come in the middle of an inning and do what he does. You know why we call him Maytag? Because Maytags are reliable. And, hey, it's one thing to bring a guy in the 9th inning like you did Vesia, in the 8th inning like you did Bonda. I'll tell you what, because that situation is such a mentally grinding and very difficult situation to think, I can't screw this up for Yamamoto, because that has a tremendous amount of baseball pressure to it, whether that might have seemed like it at the time or not. I promise you, that was a sign from Dave Roberts that Jack Dreyer is squarely at the top of his trust tree. That was just about as much trust. That shows as much, if not more, trust in Jack Dreyer bringing him in that situation than it would maybe pitching him later in the game in the innings that we call high leverage. That was an extremely, extremely pressure-packed situation to be brought into, just because, again, you don't want to let down Yamamoto, and part of that is the offense is so it just feels like Yamamoto's been let down time after time after time. Now you don't want to be the guy that lets him down on the pitching staff part of it. Dreyer did not. And then also the Bonda 8th, Vesia 9th, that made things look easy. Here's the brilliance behind Mark Pryor. Here's the brilliance behind the Dodgers. So just go back and watch Anthony Bonda. Slider, 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 okay? Makes things look easy. So here you bring in your next lefty who has a good slider. You know what Alex Vesia threw? Fastball, 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 fastball. I think Vesia threw a total of 2 sliders. So that was an obvious plan. Bonda's going to come in and throw sliders. You're going to get because Vesia's fastball isn't like velo good, but it's very effective. And so by Bonda throwing all those sliders in the 8th inning, you know what that did to Alex Vesia's fastball? It made it look like it was coming in at 200 miles an hour. That had to have been a pre-programmed plan, and it worked to perfection, and it was just absolutely awesome. And to take a 2-1 game and just to make it as simple as Bonda and Vesia did in the 8th and 9th innings, hey, you solved some problems. What has been the biggest problem for this Dodgers team? The bullpen. Blake Trinan might have had the aha moment. I think Michael Kopech is getting closer to eliminating himself, which is part of a solution. You know, sometimes you have addition by subtraction, which that could be the case there. And again, I love Michael. I don't mean to be throwing shade. I'm just having the tough conversation here. Maytag did what Maytag did. He was reliable. And then probably the biggest problem has been solving the 8th and 9th innings. Vesia and Bonda, not only did they do that, they did that with a pre-programmed plan, slider first, fastball second, that worked absolutely perfectly. So it was a great night last night. Congratulations again to Clayton Kershaw. Again, join Austin Brubaker tonight for a celebration live on Dodgers Dawgs. It was a great game, 2-1. You needed it. You need to keep the foot on the pedal. You need to get to that magic number as fast as you can so you can give some of these guys in Oklahoma City that might be able to help your bullpen a look sooner rather than later. So that takes us into the next part. What we're going to talk about, we're just going to talk. Tulsa ended their season last night. They got beat by Springfield. They are done. I will cover them on Sunday morning. This is going to be dedicated to Brock Stewart. This is going to be dedicated to Andrew Heaney, Kyle Hurt, and Hiroki Sasaki. So let's not waste more time. Let's get right to it, and let's take a trip down the farm. So here we go. All right, this is Andrew Heaney right here. Welcome to Down the Farm here on Dodgers Daily. 2 innings last night, 1 hit, no runs, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk. So it was good, 2 innings, only 1 hit, no runs. Here is probably the part that I would question the most. He was 89-91. Actually, he was 88-91. So the Dodgers already have Clayton Kershaw that, hey, you would think he would probably be on a postseason roster. We'll get into more of the roster talk as we go on. You're only going to need 3 starters, so there may be a starter or 2 that is left off a postseason roster, especially in a 3-game series. But here would be my question, okay? At 88-91, Andrew Heaney, can you afford as the Dodgers to roster 2 left-handers that are both 88-91? Is that something that you can afford to roster? That would be my big question with Andrew Heaney. I don't have any doubt in terms of that's a nice slider. That's the combo. That high rider fastball, that one there, and then the slider. That's what the Dodgers have always been able to maximize. That high fastball, then the slider after that. That's what they've always been able to maximize with Andrew Heaney, and it has worked. He's been good since the Dodgers have brought him back. But again, 88-91. I'm going to ask again, do you think that the Dodgers can afford to roster 2 left-handers that are basically sitting right at 90 or even a touch below? That would be a situation I'd be curious to see, because that would be not really in character, and it would be, you like to have in your bullpen guys that can get a lot of swing and miss, which, hey, with the 2 strikeouts last night, not to say Heaney can't, but hey, let's monitor that situation, so stay tuned. Okay, Hiroki Sasaki. Roki Sasaki, yes, sir. That is a dirty splitter right there. His first fastball of the night. There's that dirty splitter again. You can see Chucky Robinson there having a hard time catching it. That's the ball to strike. And then that fastball, the first fastball he threw, 100 miles an hour. Actually, the first pitch he threw, let me back up. The first pitch he threw of the outing of last night was 99. And then that splitter you saw for his first strikeout, he hit 100 with some ride and run to the second hitter. You just saw that 100-mile-an-hour pitch. Then 2 more fastballs at the top of the zone you just saw to get his first strikeout. He paired that with the splitter. That was just simply awesome. I mean, so he had the ball to strike splitter that started at the top of the zone. He had the ball to strike splitter that would break into the dirt. And then he was tunneling that splitter off of that high fastball. And so, I mean, he just had the entire sequencing package working last night. See how he tunneled that? It started at the top of the zone, tunneled all the way down. See that fastball and that splitter are tunneling at the same spot, and that splitter at times is tumbling all the way into the dirt. I'm going to say this very clearly, okay, very clearly. This was the outing where, as a Dodgers fan, you go, oh, that's the Roki Sasaki that we were expecting to get. This is the Roki Sasaki that makes your eyeballs pop, okay? So if the Dodgers wanted to call him up tomorrow and say, hey, we are going to give Roki Sasaki some run, we're going to see if he can help us in the playoffs, I am all good. If you wanted to replace maybe a Michael Kopech with a Roki Sasaki, that kind of deal, I have not looked into Michael Kopech's options. I don't even know the feasibility of that. I don't even know how that would work. Or whatever you need to do to get Roki Sasaki on the 26-man roster. If you wanted to do that today, the way that he's thrown, especially last night and in his last 2 outings, I would have zero problem with it because he was just simply that good last night. And not only was he that good, I'm going to use that word again, presentation. His presentation last night was one that was super, super, super impressive. And on the opposite end of that, Brock Stewart. His presentation last night was not good at all. He gave up 4 runs. Now, none of them were earned. So he did not. Noah Miller actually made an error, which meant that the inning would have ended with Brock Stewart not giving up any runs. Fine. You can use that defense if you want, but I'm going to say this point blank, and I'm going to go through this. He struck out the first hitter. Then he gave up a single. Then he hit the next hitter. And so then he got a ground out. That would have ended the inning. But from there, actually he got a ground out and then a strikeout afterwards that would have ended the inning. But then after that, he walked the next hitter with the bases loaded to score a run. He got taken out, and 3 more runs were scored after that. So while the runs were unearned, he did walk a hitter. He hit a batter. He gave up a hit. So it was one of those outings that just the presentation of it was not pretty. The presentation of it wasn't one that gave you confidence. And if you were to ask me, hey, should it be Brock Stewart or Roki Sasaki at this moment, it's not even close. I call up Roki Sasaki, and I don't even look back. I don't even think twice about it. So that's where I would be at. You might be able to disagree, but after watching their outings in rehab, that's where I would go. And another guy that, hey, I don't think it's going to happen because he has too much, his major league experience is too limited. But again, this word that we're using, presentation, wow, the presentation of Kyle Hurt last night, impressive, young man. This guy, Kyle Hurt, made his 1 inning look very, very easy. 1 inning, no hits, no runs, 1 strikeout, no walks. The 4-seam was 96, 97. And that's a couple of ticks up. So the velo is going up for Kyle Hurt. The sinker was 96, which was about where it normally is. And he threw 1 changeup that got a swing and miss. So Kyle Hurt has looked very impressive to me as well. The presentation was very good. So there you go. Andrew Heaney, Brock Stewart, Roki Sasaki, and Kyle Hurt. Those are all 4 guys that could possibly help the Dodgers in the playoffs. And so we'll have to stay tuned on that. And again, I'm going to say this one more time. That's why the Dodgers need to kick the foot to the pedal and win this division as soon as they can. So maybe you can give one, maybe more than one of these guys a look. So that's going to do it for today's Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, hey, you Dodgers Dogs fans are the best. And as always, it's a great day to be a Dodger.